You're listening to the ATS Breathe Easy podcast, brought to you by the American Thoracic Society.
Welcome back to ATS Now, live from ATS 2026. I'm your host, Ugo Ezema. We're returning to a question we opened with Dr. Tisha Wong. Are we entering an era of disease-modifying therapy for rare lung diseases? Before the mouse study in 2011, what was the conversation like when we're talking to a newly diagnosed LAM patient, and how much of that has changed in 2026?
Right. So it's an excellent question to begin. And I will just say that it is a watershed difference between the conversations we had to have with people before the MILES trial and after. But even before the MILES trial itself, one of the benefits to rare lung diseases is a coalition of investigators, clinicians who are interested in the same area. And one of the seminal events was actually the collection of longitudinal data on these rare diseases. And that was enabled by the University of Cincinnati and the people at the NIH, where we combined all of our data sets with longitudinal follow-up. So we already had a sense before the MILES trial that, as opposed to the conversation that we had in the, let's say, the 80s and the 90s, that this was a disease, we didn't really know the cause, there was no treatment, and probably the life expectancy was about 10 years. We already knew that 10 years was way too short. Women were living 15, even longer years, at least the early phases of that data collection. But of course, then the MILES trial came along. And again, that was, not quite fortuitous, but there were developments in the field of TS, so tuberous sclerosis complex, and all the signaling pathways. And it was discovered by Vera Krimskaya and Lisa Hensky that the same mutations that were present in tuberous sclerosis were present in the cells in the lung that we thought were the cells that were causal for the cystic lung disease, so-called LAM cells.
View this full video at atsnow.thoracic.org.